This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it?
What do you mean?
Did Caesar live here?
No.
I didn't think so.
I went to Vegas last weekend. Pretty crazy.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
Gentlemen, welcome to Las Vegas.
Why don't you give me half the money you were going to bet? Then we'll go out back. I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it a day.
Some guys just can't handle Vegas.
Hey, everybody, it's Jeff here, the Jeff Does Vegas podcast. Just wanted to jump on and say hello to everybody. I hope you're having a fantastic summer so far. If you've been following me on social media here over the last little while, you know that things have been pretty busy for myself and for my lovely wife, whom I like to refer to as Mrs. Jeff Does Vegas. We spent a little bit of time in New York City, chronicled a little bit of that on Twitter and on Instagram. Also took a little bit of time off and did some studio work, which you're kind of seeing some of the fruits of that labor in the background of this video here. Kind of nice to be knowing that you guys aren't just staring at the back of the room, a couple of closet doors and stuff like that. So something a little bit different for you to be looking at. Also just wanted to jump on and give you a quick little update on exactly what is going on with the podcast, because we have been off. I say we, I don't know why I always do that. I say we, like I have a whole staff of people working for me. I don't. I have no staff. It's me. I am it. I'm the staff. I'm the only one that's working here. So anyways, I digress. Just wanted to jump on here and give you a quick little update of what's kind of been going on or what's happening with the podcast. Did have a little bit of a hiatus here, took a few weeks off. As mentioned, had the New York City vacation, which, you know, again, was awesome and was great. Then came back to the studio teardown, the studio rebuild, and then took off to Las Vegas for a week. So it was, it's been a little busy trying to get everything kind of set up and, you know, starting to try to plan ahead into the second half of 2019 here with, you know, starting to try and set up guests and get show topics and things like that. You know, the first half of the year and the first, you know, 20 episodes of the podcast, you know, the most recent ones really kind of, I don't want to say they came easy, but, you know, it certainly wasn't hard to get them put together, and which was kind of cool and was great. You know, I was able to get some really interesting topics and get some really interesting people to talk to, which was awesome and was great. But then it's kind of like, okay, you know, now what? And so here we are, we're getting into this time of the year, and, you know, the summertime is a tough time to try to hammer down people and nail down people for guests and things like that to talk to. So I am working on some stuff. I do have a few things coming up, which are kind of cool. This last Vegas vacation, actually, I had an opportunity to go out and do an interview while I was on this trip with a gentleman by the name of Steve Sear. And you should Google this guy. He is a casino host, and he is one of the guys that hosts the whales, the big guys, the big gamblers, the millionaires that roll into Las Vegas over the course of a weekend and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a weekend of gambling. He's the guy that hosts those guys. He's the guy that kind of looks after those guys and makes sure that they're out gambling and they're out doing, you know, enjoying their time in Las Vegas. He's that guy. Actually has a book written about him. Give me a second here. I'm just gonna find 1 second. Crap, I took it out of my bag. Anyway, the book's called Whale Hunt in the Desert. It was written all about him. So I had a chance to sit down with Steve. He was awesome. We went for a bite to eat. We went for lunch. We hung out a little bit, got to know each other, and then we spent like an hour, over an hour talking. for an upcoming episode of the podcast. So I'm going to look at trying to get that out within the next couple of weeks or so. Hopefully, maybe try to aim for a July 1st date on that podcast. Also, Chris Kim, who is the host of the Faces and Aces Las Vegas podcast. Chris and I have done some work together on a couple of episodes. We've put some stuff together. He did a really cool interview with a couple of guys who run a podcast. It's kind of a conspiracy theory type podcast, and they talk a lot about things like alien UFOs, aliens, conspiracy theories, things like that. Anyways, Chris actually interviewed these guys. They went out and they drove out to Area 51, just outside of Las Vegas, which really isn't that far. So Chris is being gracious enough to actually share some of his content with me, which I'm going to be able to share with you guys. I'm going to take that interview and actually run it as an episode of the podcast here. So going to work on getting that out in the next couple of weeks. And then I'm also working on getting Chris on the show to talk about Airbnbs in Las Vegas, which is something that has become a bit of a hot button topic in Las Vegas, mainly because people are kind of tired of getting screwed over by resort fees in Vegas hotels. And to get out of those resort fees, a lot of people have taken to using Airbnb. And Chris is one of those guys. So he stayed at a few Airbnbs in Las Vegas. I've stayed at Airbnbs, never in Las Vegas. But anyway, so Chris is going to come on the show. We're going to talk about Airbnbs in Vegas and Airbnb experiences. So that's something that we've got coming up in the next while. Also, a few people have made suggestions. I've had a few tweets coming out. People have tweeted me saying, hey, you should talk to the guys at the Neon Museum, get them on the show. So I'm going to work on trying to make that happen. Still trying to put the feelers out as well for Zach Baggins, the Haunted Museum, which I think would be a really cool episode. Haunted Museum is a place that I would like to go, but it's not somewhere I'm going to go by myself. I kind of want a date to go with that, just because in reading some of the articles about this place, sounds scary as all hell. So I'm thinking that might be something that I want to check out on an upcoming trip, and maybe do some stuff with that. But anyways, I really wanted to just jump on and say hello and say thank you to everybody that's continued to listen. I've noticed, even while we've been in a little bit of a hiatus with the podcast, I've noticed that the numbers have still continued to climb, which is really cool. The last thing I wanted was for things to just kind of flatten out while I was on a bit of a hiatus. So thank you for everybody that's just kind of continued to have the podcast downloading and listening to the old episodes. Thanks to everyone that's been reaching out on social media as well, asking questions. I've had a few people that have actually jumped on and dropped me questions about a few different things. So, again, thanks to all of you guys for doing that. And yeah, that's really all I have to say, I guess. This is probably one of the shortest little video updates that I've done in a very long time. Usually these things turn into these big, long, rambling diatribes about whatever, but no, not this time. Just a quick little update. New episode number 24, Trip Report, does drop tomorrow morning, or technically, I guess, later this morning, 5 a.m. Mountain Time. That episode will be up and available. You'll be able to get it Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, all the places that you would normally get your podcasts. And yeah, that's really about it. That's really kind of all that I have to say this time around. So again, thank you to everybody that's been reaching out on social media, reaching out via Facebook, email, Instagram, Twitter. everybody that's been reaching out, thank you to all of you. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate each and every one of you that listens to the podcast and downloads it each and every week. And that's really all I have to say. So yeah, keeping it pretty short this time around. Hoping to try to start to do some more of these video updates. Trying to work on getting the stuff in the background to look a little cooler and a little nicer. So, anyways, that's where we're at on that. Have yourself a fantastic whatever it is, whatever day you're watching this, whatever time of day you're watching this. Just have a great one, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.